Hello and welcome to History of the Day series of Triumph IAS.
Let's start from the death anniversaries of the famous personalities. Anant Lakshman Kanhere. Anant Lakshman Kanhere was a young revolutionary who played an active role in the Indian freedom struggle. He was born on 13 August 1890 in Chalisgaon, Maharashtra. Kanhere was inspired by the nationalist ideas of Bal Gangadhar Tilak and other leaders of the freedom struggle. Kanhere was associated with the Abhinav Bharat Society, a revolutionary organization founded by Vinayak Damodar Savarkar. The society was committed to achieving freedom for India through armed revolution. Kanhere was one of the key members of the society and actively participated in its activities. The incident that led to Kanhere's execution occurred on 21 December 1909. Jackson, the district officer of Nashik, had ordered the lathi charge on a group of nationalists who were protesting against the British government. In retaliation, Kanhere shot Jackson, who succumbed to his injuries. Kanhere was caught and sentenced to death. Kanhere's sacrifice became a symbol of the revolutionary spirit that was sweeping across India at the time. He was just 19 years old when he was hanged on 19 April 1910. His execution inspired many young Indians to take up the cause of the freedom struggle. Anant Lakshman Kanhere's contribution to the Indian freedom struggle will always be remembered. He remains an inspiration to generations of Indians who continue to fight for their rights and for a better future for their country. Edward James Corbett. Jim Corbett, a colonel in the British Indian Army, was best known for being a hunter, conservationist and naturalist. He was born as Edward James Corbett on 25 July 1875 in Nainital, near the Kumon foothills of the Himalayas, in the United Provinces, now in Uttarakhand. Jim used to make frequent trips to the nearby forests, and gradually, he came to identify most of the animals and birds present there by their calls. He developed excellent trekking as well as hunting skills. In the meantime, after completing his education, he joined Bengal and North Western Railway, initially working as a fuel inspector at Manatpur, Punjab. Later, he worked as a contractor at Mokame Ghat, Bihar. He held the honor of killing many man-eating tigers and leopards in India, especially the United Provinces, now the Indian states of Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand. Being a multifaceted personality, he was also an avid photographer and an author. In fact, after his retirement, Jim wrote a number of books on wildlife, describing his hunts and experiences, the most prominent ones being Man-Eaters of Kumon and Jungle Law. Jim Corbett hunted many of the tigers in the Sal forests of the Ramganga River Valley. He was not a full-throated fighter for the wildlife preservation. Corbett was a harbinger of change. In his later works he wrote more about the forests, trees, flowers, birds and animals. Jim desired to hunt alone on foot, along with his small dog named Robin, about whom he had written much in his first book, The Man-Eaters of Kumon. Jim used to take great personal risks to save the lives of others. He is also credited for speaking on the need to save wildlife from extinction. For this very reason, the national park was renamed Jim Corbett National Park in his honor in 1957 after his demise in 1955. Now moving on the event of the day of 19th April. India's first satellite, Aryabhatta. India's first satellite Aryabhatta was launched on 19 April 1975 from Kapustin Yar, a Soviet rocket launch and development site in Astrakhan Oblast using a Cosmos 3M launch vehicle. The launch was successful because of the agreement between India and the Soviet Union directed by U.R. Rao, and the agreement was signed in 1972. The agreement allowed the USSR to use the Indian portals for tracking ships and launching vessels, and in return it allowed India to launch various satellites. The satellite was built for helping India for experimenting with X-ray astrology, agronomy, and solar physics. The satellite was a 26-sided polyhedron that was 1.4 meters in diameter. Except for the top and bottom, all the faces of the spaceship were covered with solar cells. For almost 4 days, the experiment was halted in 60 orbits, with all signals from the satellite were lost after 5 days of the operation. Until March 1981, the mainframe of the spaceship remained active.